So, She-Hulk has always been a character I liked for her appearances in the Fantastic Four and Incredible Hulk cartoons. She was kind of like the spunky alternative to the Hulk, and as anyone knows, She-Hulk is known for being sexy. Like, literally, since John Bryan got his hands on the character, this is a key part of her, and strangely, it's not considered to be a bad thing. I don't mean like people who like objectifying female characters like her apparent sexiness. More so that even people who don't like objectifying female characters don't seem to have this hate boner for She-Hulk's runs. She's pretty well known, and lesser known characters have gotten shit where she hasn't, so I don't think it's a popularity thing, but it could be. I mention this to give background, because She-Hulk is a female character who's drawn to be unclassically beautiful. That's like a key thing of her character, that she doesn't fit old society's classic opinions on feminine beauty. She's taller than every man she dates, she has no qualms about showing skin, she's green, she dates a lot of people, and she beats the shit out of everyone. So yeah, not classic. I'm beginning to see a trend between the female comic book characters I read about for this channel. Self-revelation aside, this means that She-Hulk stories have tended to be commentaries on sexuality, and double standards between gender. When I say the characters don't judge She-Hulk, that doesn't mean other characters don't, and stories tackle that, and they're well respected for it for calling out double standards in our society. But there's another key thing with She-Hulk character that other writers seem to focus less on than the social commentary. And writer Dan Slott brings it to the forefront. She-Hulk's a lawyer. I always knew this, but I always forgot about it because it's not played up in most mediums. And when I'm searching for runs on She-Hulk to read, Dan Slott's was the only one recommended for how it furthers and updates She-Hulk's alter ego. Daredevil is a lawyer, and Marvel never lets you forget it, but after this read, I think it's criminal that anyone thinks he's the best lawyer in the Marvel Universe. She-Hulk crushes him, hands down. For the longest time, not enough comic book fans have seen how being She-Hulk has affected Jennifer Walters. She-Hulk doesn't hide her secret identity, but it never mattered because she always wanted to be She-Hulk. Literally to the point that if She-Hulk sleeps with someone and they wake up to Jennifer Walters, they freak out and ask where She-Hulk is. The way Slott tackles this can be heartbreaking in some ways because it makes She-Hulk come to like one part of herself and not the other. So Slott decided with this run to make Jennifer Walters feel special for once, and it's about time. Because guess what? Jen is pretty cool. She's a badass attorney who has standards and represents the good guys, and does so to the best of her ability. At least until the court of law needs She-Hulk to be Jennifer Walters, so Kate's to stop being thrown out and supervillains stop recognizing her in court. Which is, I guess, understandably, a real problem. But then Jen is hired by her dream firm to be Jen and represent heroes in superhuman law. The story arcs that follow are about Jen representing superheroes in cases where they cause collateral damage, suffer from slander, or get caught up playing jury to time travel to self-defense cases. One story arc takes She-Hulk to outer space so she can be an intergalactic judge for the living tribunal. But truly, only one story arc isn't about Jen being a lawyer. These arcs are real page-turners to see how She-Hulk can use classic and not-so-classic Marvel storylines to win cases, and bring up some pretty interesting and funny conundrums in comics. One case involves a ghost accusing their killer from beyond the grave and being allowed to do so because he may come back to life. She-Hulk argued this was okay because the Infinity Gauntlet technically killed half the people in the universe when Thanos had it, and half of those people, or no, all half of the universe who died were brought back to life and didn't lose their legal rights. So yeah, other times they were simpler and just plain old funny, like Jen's coworker decided to pay back Spider-Man for saving him by helping the Webhead finally sue James Jonah Jameson. If anyone's ever wondered about the panel where Spider-Man accuses Jameson of hating him for being black, it's in this comic. And it's still funny when Spider-Man pretends to put Jameson on the spot. Also great because Dan Slott, I believe, was still deep into his incredibly long Spider-Man run when he wrote this book. And while the cases are great, the way Jen comes to like being Jennifer Walters as much as She-Hulk really is the heart of the story. Sure, it's nice to see when Jen can't wait to be She-Hulk because she's proud and happy to be bigger, taller, and stronger than everyone else. It's nice to see a superhero who enjoys being a superhero for once too. But it's also nice to read about a hero coming to terms with who they are in their entirety. The only real possible flaw in this plot is how it lacks a compelling villain for most of the first volume of the Omnibus series. There truly is no overarching plot or subplot besides She-Hulk's emotional healing. There might be some in Volume 2. I don't mind it whether it continues to be the same way in the second Omnibus or not. But I say most of the book has no compelling villain. Not all of them. One arc dead in the middle of the omnibus, the only arc not about Jennifer Walters, the superhero lawyer, is about Titania, She-Hulk's only real villain who isn't grandfathered in by the Hulk. Titania, for all intents and purposes, probably wasn't a really deep villain before this comic, and wasn't any time afterwards. But her origin and her hate for She-Hulk was something that actually made me feel bad for her. Slott turns this one-dimensional, visually bland and archaic villainess into someone you can actually imagine meeting and pitying. The fact that Titania was originally born premature and incapable of physically growing made her childhood as a victim of bullying relatable to me on too many levels. Then how she wanted powers to become a superhero only hit home harder with me. Sure, once she gets powers from Doctor Doom, she goes full generic villain. Her dialogue never becomes clever or intelligent. Context alone carries her. The first time she gets her powers, she goes after her bullies, which I get. I don't condone it, but I get it. And then when she's attacked and judged by superheroes for how she first uses her powers, I also get why she never ends up becoming a hero. She's been too hurt and she's too angry to ever be good. But when you really think she's generic, Slott goes over her first meeting with She-Hulk, how she tries to prove herself, and how She-Hulk just utterly stomps her. It's downright sad to see that after getting superpowers, she can still be made to feel pathetic under the heel of someone else. Seeing her ask for help on the verge of tears from other supervillains is legitimately sad, and Slott gets some recognition for that. Now, the art by Juan Babilo, Paul Pelletier, and Scott Collins aren't matching what John Bryan did decades ago. The best I can say about their art for She-Hulk is that I think it's fine. You come here for Dan Slott's writing and characterization. It's more than worth the price of the omnibus alone. I say this because I think the art goes up and down across the around 13 issues, I think, here. Juan Babilo's art style is weird in the way it captures She-Hulk more than anyone else. I think far too often she seems bubbly and looking more like a blow-up doll, which I can say about most of the characters in Babilo's art style, but She-Hulk bothers me the most because she is the main character. When it counts, he does bring a humanity to the character. I won't take that from him, but it's not consistent. In the expositional and the more comedic pages, he doesn't translate the energy She-Hulk has as an Avengers powerhouse all that well. He makes everyone look younger than they are, and thicker in a way that looks unnatural. And people were already unnatural in this book. Paul Pelletier, I hope I'm saying his name right, and Scott Collins, their art fares a little better, but not much. Babilo's proves to be an acquired taste. Pelletier and Collins' art proves just generic. They're definitely familiar in how they draw She-Hulk, but they're trying to do that thing where comic book artists imitate the detail of real life rather than make their own true style. This is an older comic, over a decade old, but even today I feel like some comic book artists don't get that you can't beat Gary Frank or Alex Ross in the realism department, so they shouldn't try. I never say that this is an ugly book, but there are so many ugly panels where I would dare say these guys translate the wrong emotion. I would actually go so far as to say that at the end of the Titania arc, or Titania, my bad, when She-Hulk beats her as Jennifer Walters, Jen's facial expressions makes her look unnaturally vicious, like she's got an evil smile on her face. Considering there's no mention or implication of wrongdoing or corruption on Jen's part, this was clearly a visual hiccup that I don't notice in most comics nowadays, or even when I go back to read old ones. Overall, I think anyone looking to get into She-Hulk or needs more She-Hulk in their lives should read this. It's great and does wonders for the character. More than that, with the omnibus of John Bryan's run and the new show coming out for Disney Plus in the next 2 years, both of them about to come out, this is a great thing to hold you over. I can't recommend it enough. She-Hulk doesn't get enough love, and her current characterizations are making a lot of unnecessary changes to the character, ones I don't necessarily want because they kind of make her seem like just a truly female Hulk rather than her own character. So I would read this before they color your opinions on what the She-Hulk has usually been, whether you like the new stuff or not. That's not to say the new stuff is bad. I just think it's it turns Jen Walters into Bruce Banner and turns She-Hulk into the Hulk, and that just takes a lot of what was special about this character away. So if you can't get John Bryan's humongous omnibus, or you don't want to wait for the Disney Plus show, really, really please, you should read Dan Slott's She-Hulk. It's fantastic.